May I request Swamiji to address us on the topic chosen by us, which is pointers on the present situations impacting us and how, as sadhaks, we should deal and respond on the personal, that is BMI Vyasti level, as well as the social level, and how to face situations with I am not in them, they are in me, or everything is Purnam, attitude of Purnamada, Purnamidam. At the end of the talk, Swamiji's talk, people who would like to ask questions can raise their hands. Hari.
Om Shri Tapovan Paramagurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. So Hari Om and salutations to one and all. Congratulations to all of you who are attempting to chant for the first time. It is important that as study group members, we know some of this basic chanting, and I congratulate all of you who have learnt it, who have come forward and chanted, overcoming your stage fear if you had any. It is said the second greatest fear in life is stage fear. After death, it is the second largest fear of a person. So you have overcome that. So congratulations to all of you. And also congratulations to the Sevikas, Sheila ji, Shailja ji, Anjali ji, for taking these classes, continuously doing it as your sadhana and inspiring all the members of the class. And also encourage them to take up new classes as sevaks, sevikas. That is the way we do our sadhana, to share this knowledge with more and more people. So many of you are regular study group members. If you have a certain clarity, and if the sevaks and sevikas are clear about that you can handle a class, then do volunteer and take up and gather some friends, relatives, open it up to the others also, and people can join. Start with the fundamentals, Kindle Life, Bhajagovindam, Tattva Bodh. So study and share. Swadhyay and Pravachan. That is a sadhana given in our Upanishads. Don't worry if you don't know some answers. Tell people to come to us, or in this monthly, yearly sessions when we do, let them ask us the doubts, because we also need some job after all, so don't worry at all. And suppose class ends, suppose you say, no, Swamiji, people start leaving and, then my whole class has stopped. Don't worry. Anyway, you are Ekameva Advitiya Brahman. That's what you learn in Vedanta. So there's nothing to lose. So this method we should follow for our sadhana. Now the topic, how to face the present situation, specifically at BMI level as a sadhak, and then as at a social level. So if we have been studying for so many years, we have been doing sadhana, what is the difference between a spiritual seeker responding to these situations which are challenging, which are unpredictable, uncomfortable, most disturbing also sometimes, So how does a spiritual seeker's response differ from a common man who may not have a background? If we also respond in the same way as they respond sometimes with disturbances and we lose our balance, then we have to think about it, that how much have we assimilated that spiritual knowledge. So what is the first response? First response should always be that this situation has come, let me accept. For some time one may be in a denial mode, and we saw last year when some of the countries, some people, some states were in a denial mode, how COVID spread faster in those places. So acceptance is very important, that yes, this situation is there now. It is a pandemic, and now it has been a while, more than a year, almost 1.5 years. It's declared as a pandemic. So initially we accept rather than being in a denial mode or resisting, because when we resist or deny, we cannot focus on solutions. Only when we accept, we can focus on what next to do. If we deny, saying nothing like this exists, it's all some conspiracy by some people, etc., then we can't face the reality and find solutions. And if we resist, no, why this happened to me, it should not have happened to me. Even today, there are people who do this. I got 2 vaccines, Swamiji, still I got COVID. Why this happened to me? A vaccine is not a sign that you will not get COVID. You will respond better to COVID, and the threat of the life, etc., is much lesser because of vaccine. So resistance should not be there. Acceptance of a situation will help us to face it and give a proper response. First point. Because the moment we accept, our mind becomes quieter and we can focus on how to deal with it. Rather than why this happened to me, we can change from why me to how to deal with this. This will apply to many situations in life, not just COVID. Second aspect is, once I accept the situation, 3 choices I have. A seeker will recognize a choice. Many people don't recognize the choice, so they become victims. 3 choices we have to respond: proactive, reactive, inactive. 3 choices. Proactive is sattvic choice, reactive is rajasic choice, inactive is tamasic choice. In proactive choice, what do? I am most objective. I want to find out how to face it, how to help others to face it, what can be done, and I start following that. So if I have to follow social distancing, I become alert. I will follow social distancing. I will wash the hands. I will wear a mask. I will go and get vaccinated. That is a proactive response. Because that is a mature response of a seeker born out of a certain clarity of knowledge, that why this is important. Reactive response will be where a person gets disturbed, saying this should not have happened, now so much difficulty, I have to be in isolation, or I am, economically I am going through difficulties and we can't travel, we can't do this, we can't do that. So one becomes very disturbed. And in that disturbance, then one wants to break free and then flout all the rules. Like we see so many places today, people are just traveling and they are just absolutely unmindful of social distancing or even wearing masks. And the strange thing is, these are all so-called educated, literate people, behaving like the most, immature people. a seeker will not do this reactive response. There's something called revenge travel that is happening right now. Revenge travel. Because we were in lockdown for such a long time, now I want to take revenge. So I will travel and crowd places and I will eat what I want to eat, the street food and this and that. Arey Baba, who is telling you don't travel? Travel, but please follow restrictions, protocols. Why crowd in one place? It is not like, Kalidas, before he became the great poet Kalidas, he was cutting the branch on which he was sitting. We are worse than that Kalidas. There is an axe which is lying just harmlessly. We are going and jumping on it. What is the point of all that lockdown then? And the strange logic, this is perverted logic. A Rajasic person will use sometimes this perverted logic. What is the logic? Before the third wave comes, let us go and finish traveling. Arey, that is only going to bring third wave, Baba. As though there is some separate wave that is waiting for you, caused by somebody else, that before that wave comes, you can go finish travel and come back. You are the third wave. But people don't have that control. So if I am a spiritual seeker, I will respond with control, with self-control. Not feel that, oh, I am so suppressed and suffocated and, let me do this, let me do that before something happens. A Rajasic person will respond like that. And inactive response is completely out of ignorance. No idea only of what is the truth and what is false. See, all this I am saying based on the Gita. It is all there in the Gita. Ayathavat prajanati. That is Rajasic. Then what is Tamasic? Completely opposite. Ignorance is there and false knowledge is there. That is Tamasic. So many people have vaccine hesitancy even today. They don't want to take vaccine. There are so many people who spread false notions also. That's ignorant response. Then there are some people who will say that, as far as I am concerned, my immunity is very strong. My immunity will deal with this and I will develop my natural antibodies. So I don't want any vaccine. They have overconfidence on their own immunity. There are so many people who are young people who have passed on in the second wave. You see so many people who are 37, 40, 35, very healthy people. And these people keep spreading false rumors. Or will this vaccine protect you from this variant and that variant? Or first get the proper knowledge, Baba. How does a vaccine function? Spike protein, how does it handle the body? What does the vaccine do to that? How the variants will handle that? I mean, the vaccine handles a variant. And no, you need a booster shot after 6 months. So I'm not taking vaccine now. So you won't take vaccine now because you need a booster shot after 6 months. There's no data to prove you need booster shot still. Why don't you take? But complete information only is wrong. And choose some fear causing what we call reasons and spread it to people. We call fear mongering. 1 in some thousands of people would be getting some blood clot or some heart inflammation. Now these people will cite that and they will tell everybody, tumne liya, khatam, ab to tum gaya, ab nothing happened, koi bacha nahi sakta tumko. Arey Baba, why you are spreading fear? A spiritual seeker will not do this. Tamasic response, Rajasic response, no. Proactive response. Second point, that was choice. We have a choice. And always our response must be a sattvic proactive response. Now, in that sattvic proactive response, at different levels, how do we respond? As an individual, body, mind, intellect, we have, right? So at body level, what should we do? A sattvic response would be what? we should regularly start doing our exercises if we are not doing, whatever age we may be. In fact, the more older we grow, the more is the need for exercise, because the body's immunity has to be maintained with effort. It doesn't happen just like that. Our lifestyle has become very sedentary. So learn some yoga, do some exercise, have control on the food, sleep properly, boost the immunity. First point. Second point, at the physical level, also ensure that we are able to keep, wherever required, keep proper social distancing and follow all the norms of whatever, washing the hands and hand hygiene and all that. Not to take things lightly. See, alertness is a seeker's quality. Inalertness is death. Moha eva mahamrityuhu. Inalertness is death. Gurudev used to say, alert and vigilant living is a sadhana by itself. So when the challenges come, what happens to a common person is the stamina to be alert is not enough. So one relaxes, one becomes inalert, one again starts compromising. A spiritual seeker will remain alert. How to remain alert? Make it a part of the routine itself. Hand hygiene should be a part of routine, mask should be a part of the routine, social distancing must be a part of the routine. Do it even in the house. Keep distance from people and talk. Then it will happen everywhere. We will remain alert. If we don't inculcate in our daily life, then when we go out also, we have to be separately alert to be cautious. That one should not do. Make it a part of daily life itself. Akhandanand Ji Maharaj used to say, Savdhani ka naam sadhana hai. Alertness is sadhana. And common Hindi phrase all of you must have seen, Savdhani hati, durghatna ghati. Even in driving it applies, even in daily life it applies. The moment we become inalert, we fall. I go to walk on the beach. There are so many people still walking on the beach. They just don't wear a mask. I don't know in which world they are living. They are a threat to everybody else also because they are not wearing. And you go on a Sunday, oh bapre, the way that place is flooded like anything. So Sunday, I don't venture into that place at all. So when we know that there are crowded places, possibilities are there, don't go only into such places. So alertness is important. See, these are expressions of alertness. For a seeker, alertness is most important. It's not about whether I am following, others are following, not following, I am following, not following. It is about alertness of the mind. One aspect. Second aspect is a seeker will always keep in mind the totality. What do we learn in Vedanta? That all of us are one. What does that mean? What we do will affect the whole universe. What is happening in the whole universe will affect us. So I must follow all the discipline required, not only for myself. I have to follow it for the society as well as for the country and the world. Because if we don't do that, we are being a problem rather than being a part of the solution. As I said, we only become the third wave. A spiritual seeker will not say that others are not following the rules, so I will also not follow. Others don't want moksha. You want moksha or not? And there are we saying that everybody else is not wanting moksha, so I also don't want moksha. There we are saying, no, we want moksha. Then we have to follow rules and discipline because we know the importance of it. Others who don't know, how can their behavior make me completely inalert? That is stupidity or not? Then what is the point of us all the spiritual knowledge and everything? If a timing is given that come out between this time and this time, don't come out between this time and this time, a spiritual seeker must just follow it. No, Swamiji, if we follow it, people are saying what a dumb fool you are. That let them talk. That is their stupidity. Do we have to break rules to please them, or do we have to follow rules for our sake? So as a spiritual seeker, I must have that inner strength. That is most important, that I follow discipline because I know its importance. So at the physical level, one is to do all this, to follow all the protocols. Second is to follow the rules and ensure that our movements are lesser and go to only places where we know that we are safe. There are all protocols being followed. Then at the physical level, one more important point to understand is there are people who are suffering. How much can we help? In whatever way we can help. Many people have lost their jobs. They don't have food. They don't have, school fees to pay. Online, they don't have facilities to attend. In whichever way we can serve, our response should be to go out and serve in difficult times. That is a spiritual seeker's response. Financially, we can serve by being in organizing, we can serve by actually being on the field and ensuring the distribution. In whatever way we can, we should learn to serve at the physical level. And do it with humility, not with any amount of, not with any sense of pride, ego, or boosting, not boosting, what is it? Boasting. I did so much, I did that much, In general, we want to make people aware and so that encourage them also to serve, then that's a different matter. But physical level, one should go ahead and serve. Now, at the body level, that is one thing we saw. And definitely everyone take vaccine, please. If I'm a study group member, I've still not taken a vaccine, I must immediately go take one dose, and then after 84 days or whatever is the time period given, finish the second dose. One has to do that. That's the fastest way to at least ensure that there is herd immunity that we will reach. Now, coming to emotional level. At emotional level, a spiritual seeker's response, sattvic response will be what? Sorry, one more. Before I go to emotional level, I will again come back to body level. Physical level, sense control is very important. This is the time to apply sense control. Why people are not able to stay in the home? Because sense control is not there. Because one is attached to one's own senses. If I've learned spiritual knowledge, if I know the importance of sense control, etc., for some time I should learn that, to apply that sense control. What would happen if one doesn't travel like before, or one doesn't eat the type of food one was eating from outside? We have lived like that, no, before. All of us who are here, we have grown through generation where none of this was there. Today it's an added luxury, it is available. Otherwise it was not there earlier. One has seen all those times also. So it's not that we have not seen. One channel used to be there, Doordarshan, DD1. Then second channel came, that was a luxury, DD2. Today, how many channels are available? And with all those channels, what are we still doing? I'm getting bored. Hare Rama. Sitting at home, half the public is anyway ordering from Swiggy and this and that, all outside food, everything. So where is it's in our mind that, oh, this is a lockdown, there's a lockdown. It's a pressure we have built in the mind. Sitting at home, all sources of entertainment are available to us. Food is available to us. Through internet and Zoom, we are able to communicate with people. But no, Swamiji, no, the physical presence really matters, Of course it matters, but right now, this is the best we can do. So do it. The other day, I read somewhere very nicely. When there is a glass which is half filled with water and half empty, what is a optimist person's response? The glass is half full. No, the glass is full, half with water, half with air. Pessimistic person's response is the glass is half empty. But do you know what is a spiritual person's response? I am grateful there is glass and water. We are alive. We have to be grateful. At physical level, we have life still. Look at the people who have passed on. How many people have passed on? So instead of allowing pressure to build in our mind that, I have been denied this, I have been, put in a lockdown, this is not available, that is not available. Be grateful that so many things are already available to us. Imagine if internet and phone was not there, how would we have responded to this whole situation? We have all those things. So at the physical level, don't allow pressure to build. This is the best time to practice self-control. Indriya Sanyam. Deny to the body what is harmful to the body. Reject all this which is hurting the immunity of the body. Drinking, alcohol. And it's how strange it is that people are, permits are given and live alcohol shops and wine shops, etc. They open even in lockdown because people can't live without it. So much addiction is there. And if I know as a spiritual seeker, the impact of alcohol on the body is not good. Doctors are telling us today, that people who are drinking, people who are smoking are more vulnerable for COVID, and for them recovery also becomes difficult. So this is the best time to practice self-control. Boost the immunity, deny what is harmful, develop good habits. That comes from the attitude that whatever is, I am grateful to Bhagwan, I will deal with it. If I go on finding faults, nothing can be done. All my spiritual knowledge is of no use. So that body level. Now coming to emotional level, how does a spiritual seeker respond to this emotionally? The spiritual seeker learns to respond first out of equanimity. And equanimity does not mean we never get affected by any high or low. We do get affected, but we come back to balance fast. First aspect. Samatvam yoga uchyate. This is the time to practice samatvam. All this pendulum swinging otherwise keeps happening. No? Be frustrated inside the house in the lockdown situation, and then completely opposite, flout all the norms. That is called swinging in the pendulum. Be equanimous. In food, in sleep, in speech, what Gita says, moderation. We can follow moderation in food, sleep, speech, exercise, recreation. Then we will be able to live in equanimity. If we don't follow moderation at the physical level, emotional level also, we will swing. We go into the depths of inertia, and sometimes so much time is available, so then we get into tamas. Either we keep watching something passively, or we just browse, or we are chatting on the phone. Nothing creative, constructive. So either go into absolute tamas or go into the absolute rajas. Suddenly become so active that the whole day one is out. One has to balance. So equanimity is something that one can respond with. There are challenges in relationships, there are challenges at work front, there are economic challenges, all those are there. But if I say that I am practicing equanimity, let me see how can I respond to this in a balanced way. That is a spiritual seeker's response. How equanimous am I through every single day? Equanimity becomes sadhana. Second aspect at the emotional level is that can we respond more out of love and compassion? Not everybody in our own family may be able to apply these spiritual principles or respond very maturely. So they need more love, more care, more concern. We may have to comfort them more. You know, in last year when that full lockdown happened, 21 days, how many people had issues in the relationships, and some people were even saying that when the lockdown is over, I'm going to give divorce to my spouse, because they couldn't handle each other. Because suddenly now they are there full day with each other. Now that is happening with parents, children, siblings, because earlier there was an outlet where one could go out, do one's things. When the lockdown happened, lots of, you know, the rough edges, they start clashing with each other. Then there's conflict. So this requires a lot of emotional maturity to still love, to be compassionate, to be kind. Our tolerance level has to increase, because not everybody will respond in a mature way, but they will respond immaturely. So we have to learn to accommodate, tolerate, compassionately forgive. Third, we may have gone through a loss. There may be some others who have gone through a loss. There is grief, there is sorrow. A spiritual seeker would try to bounce back. If one has gone through grief, one goes through the grief, not that one should never grieve, go through the grief, but come out of it and help others who are grieving to cope with the situation, the loss they are facing, the pain they are facing. Be there for them in whatever ways possible. Help them to come out of it. That is very important. So at an emotional level, one should be there for others. And all this strength comes to us from our anchoring in devotion. So this is the time to deepen our sadhana and build the bond with Bhagavan more strongly. Because pandemics like this, they are a wake-up call to all of us. See, birth and death is a process of life. But what happens is, in the flow of life, in the rush to achieve many things, we don't face the reality very clearly. That's why they say we live as though we are never going to die, and we die as though we have never lived. But pandemics like this suddenly bring that picture to us right in front of us, absolutely in its stark, naked reality. This is what life is. It is absolutely momentary. When one passes on from this body, we have no idea. So use the time well. When Bhagavan says, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, this world is an abode of sorrow and it is temporary, we can see, look at the way this pandemic has revealed so many things to us. How many people's lives were at stake, and there are so many people still who are misusing this whole situation to make their money. Simple drugs which were available for common prices, ordinary prices, shot up like anything, and people were hoarding it illegally, and what all was happening. Are these not See, vultures, at least they feed on people who are dead, on animals who are dead. These are people who are feeding on people who are living and pushing them to death. How much blame game was going on happening? What facilities for which the grants were given, etc., they didn't do, and then keep blaming others. Arey, how many lives are lost in your stupidity? This is that samsar. So, what are we seeing all around us? Many times, it can bring vairagya to us as a spiritual seeker. That what is happening in this world? Is this the world that we want to again come back to? So one can develop vairagya also, intellectually develop that vairagya as a spiritual seeker, that this is absolutely momentary. And a few days back, this person was so healthy, and young people, some of them have just passed on. 4 5 days it deteriorates so rapidly and the person is gone. So vairagya can be strengthened, bhakti can be strengthened. That only true relationship we have is with Bhagwan. Everything else is secondary. So this time can be used to develop more deeper bond with the Lord. Many people want to meditate, etc., and they have taken it also. They have taken courses, they are doing yoga, they are doing meditation, they are doing some breathing exercises. Many things people are doing. But somehow they don't want to connect to Bhagwan. Even in meditation, they will say, I'm observing the breath, or I'm feeling very light, I'm visualizing the river flowing, so I'm watching the thoughts are coming and going like that, which is all fine. But emotional anchoring is only in the Supreme Lord. Because if we put our emotional anchoring in any other person, sometime or the other it is going to break. As I said earlier, it's not that we should not love, we should go out and love people, share, support them, be compassionate, all that we have to do. But our anchoring cannot be in people. Our anchoring has to be in Bhagwan only. These situations make all these things very clear to us. Those people with whom I spent my whole life, for whom I have done so many things, in whom I have depended, none of them can be with me in that time. Once I get COVID, I am in the hospital, I'm admitted, or I'm at home, I'm in quarantine. Who is there with me? And if it is deteriorating, what happens? One just goes. That's all. Doctor is there to help, save, whatever is done, and one comes out of it, great. But otherwise, who is there with us at that time? Bhagwan alone is with us at that time. No, Swamiji, phone is also there with us. So we connect to our near and dear ones on phone. Very good. It is only an accessory, Baba, and it is good. It is there. We are able to connect. But after a point, that phone doesn't work. Our karma is there and our bhakti is there. That is all is there with us. So anchoring should become more stronger in Bhagwan, in devotion. Surrender. Gajendra Moksha we did last year. One of the reasons we did was this only. Gajendra tried his best. With his own strength, he tried to come out of that mouth of that crocodile. Crocodile has caught his head, caught his leg. His own wife, children, relatives, all of them tried. Nobody could help him. He himself tried with his own strength. He could not come out. Finally, he called out to Bhagwan. Most of the time we do that only. No, last we remember Bhagwan. When we are supposed to remember through the whole life. Then at the last moment, Bhagwan we can remember. You know, if you read Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj had asked this question to him, to Shukdev Maharaj, that what should a person do generally and what should a dying person do specifically? In that, Shukdev Maharaj says that Ante Narayana Smriti, a dying person should keep remembering Bhagwan. And who is not dying? Each of us are dying only. So it refers to all of us. Just that we think we are not dying, somebody is dying. Every minute we are inching closer only to death. Dying only is happening continuously. Once the candle is lit, it will go on getting shorter. Our life keeps getting shorter. How quickly will we anchor in Bhagwan? That matters a lot. So emotionally, we must anchor in devotion and learn to accept life as it comes, as the prasad of that Supreme Lord. Now coming to intellectual aspect. Intellectually, we should be very clear. If this pandemic was not there, something else would be there. May not be of this scale, this size, but life is continuous flow of events and challenges. On one hand, pandemic has brought a lot of destruction also, but on the other hand, it is come like a big wake-up call. So many times situations are there in life where we get wake-up calls of a lesser intensity, but many times we don't take those calls. So many people deny this situation, saying, if this pandemic was not there, my life would have been so much better. It would not have been better. As far as karma is concerned, if this was what one has to go through, it would have come to you in some other way. But this would have happened. So whatever we are going through is a result of our own karma. That knowledge, if we have, we will never victimize ourselves, or we will not feel that why this happened to me. Because even in this very pandemic, there are so many people who are still safe. And even in this pandemic, there are people who took all the precautions, but still they got infected. How does one explain all that? There is some law of karma because of which that is happening. So a spiritual person would see this intellectually, that there is a law of karma that is happening. It is not just happening to me randomly. So it will help to accept that yes, there is a law of karma that is happening. Now, how I respond to it is my choice. Like we said, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic is the choice we have. So each of us can respond as per our temperament, no doubt. But a spiritual seeker would respond anchoring in devotion, anchoring in knowledge. And knowledge anchoring means understanding that there is karma, and the law of karma is playing its part. And we have freedom right now in this moment on how to face that situation. What has come to us, in that we have no choice. How to face, we have a choice. So let me make the best choice. That is intellectually understanding the law of karma. So this we can apply to ourselves and others also. Are we not seeing people who are 95, 98, 102? People who have survived COVID. And people who are young who have passed on. Now, why this has happened? Karma got over, that's it. So the young person is gone. Karma didn't get over, so this person is going on still. So law of karma is functioning. There is no doubt. Knowing this law of karma can bring us certain amount of strength and certain amount of balance. Why this happened? Why this did not happen? A lot of these questions which come to us become very clear when we understand this is a part of law of karma. This will happen. So one is the knowledge of karma. Second, at the intellectual level, what can I do? I can learn many new things. Use the time constructively, creatively. There are so many people, because of this pandemic, they have learned how to use Zoom and Google Meet and so many such things, and they're able to connect with people. People have started cultivating new hobbies, find out new ways of, earning online. So intellectually, one has to push oneself out of the comfort zone and adapt to the new methods of this changing world, because this world is like this. When we say world is constant change, samsara means that which is not constant, which is going on changing. Samyak sarati, that is samsara. So now this world before the pandemic was in a certain way. After the pandemic, it will be in a very different way. And right now, when the pandemic is on, it's very different. We have to learn to keep adapting. That requires detachment. Let go of the old ways and learn new ways. Adapt. Because that which does not adapt will be finished. So I have to keep adapting. One joke I was reading somewhere, it said that when we were children, the child is saying this actually. The child is saying that when we used to bring the mobile in the class, you banned us from using mobile in the class. Now see the law of karma. The class is only happening through the mobile. That is called adaptation. Physically, it is not possible. The online one has to do. And law of karma catches on or not. Some parents, they said, Swamiji, we bunked classes when we were studying in school, but law of karma has caught up. Now we have to attend these classes with our children online. So law of karma doesn't spare anybody. And we have to learn to adapt to changes. So intellectually, we should be ready for that. If we have resistance, we can't. The way of earning has changed, the way of communication has changed, the way of learning has changed. So many things have changed. Everything has become online. And some of the changes are lasting now. They will not reverse. So intellectually, detachment is required to let go of the old, to adapt to the new. That is required, and to use this time for creatively learning many things. One more point for a spiritual seeker is, in one way, one is very grateful because life slows down. This pandemic's one big lesson is life has slowed down or not. In some ways, life has slowed down, and we have got some time to look at ourselves, to reprioritize our life, what we really want to achieve, what is very important to us. People have got family time they could spend with each other, or otherwise they were only traveling or working, and not enough time with the family. So intellectually speaking, one should come to a certain pace of life where one does not miss out on something which is very important to us. No doubt there are duties, responsibilities, one goes through all of them, but what people used to call as me time, now that balance can be created. New circumstances bring new challenges also, there is no doubt in that also. But at least for some time we have got time to where we could slow down. If we have used that time well, our life would be different. See, some people use the time of lockdown and they reflected, they brought out books, they started new podcasts, they did so many things which would help them to increase their reflection, their sadhana, have a more balanced view of life, and prioritize their time for things which really matter to them, which they were escaping from earlier because of tremendous pace of life. Now we may say, Swamiji, but again the pace has picked up now with the lockdown opening up and relaxing in some places. See, that will keep happening. But if we have made certain decisions in our mind, we have changed, we have started giving importance to things which are really valuable to us, then that's a change that has come about. So intellectually, this is another thing that if we come to a moderate pace, it is very helpful. So these are ways by which a spiritual person responds at the Vyashti level. And lastly, all of us learn, I am not the body, right? Spiritually, we learn that I'm not the body, I'm not the jiva, I am not this individuality. This is the time to practice. Oh, Swamiji, what will happen? What if I get COVID? What if I die? Who will die? Body will die. Body is already dead. Jiva, does the jiva die? No. Jiva takes new body. Atma, does it die? No. So who died? Nobody died. So what is all this fear about? All about my attachments, the things I've accumulated, the people with whom I'm attached. If I'm a spiritual seeker, use this time every day, at least for some time, to remind oneself, I am not the body, I am not the jiva, I am pure consciousness, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. That detachment is very important from the body. Most difficult times are the most conducive times for spiritual growth. When will we apply this knowledge that I am not the body? If we can't apply at this time, when will we apply? While we are eating rasgulla, I am not the body. That time, I am the body. That's why I'm enjoying rasgulla. This is the perfect time to apply entire Vedanta. World is an illusion. I am the, which includes this body, mind, intellect. This is also illusion only. Both are illusion. Then what is the truth? Satchidanand is the truth, and that is our true nature. Oh, but it's all very theoretical. That means we have not understood properly. That means Chitta Shuddhi is still required, Karma Yoga has to be done, Bhakti has to be done, make the mind pure, make the mind single pointed, then one will come to Nididhyasan. Shravan Manan, then Nididhyasan. Otherwise, this time is the best time to think I am not the body, mind, intellect. Because turn within. Lockdown, etc. is a good time to turn within. Increase the time of spiritual sadhana, devotion, meditation, detach from the body. If the body says, you know, there was one reel on Instagram, you know, very cute one. So one lady, she's saying, मेरा blood का report आ गया. So that husband is asking, क्या बताया आप blood report में? So that lady is saying, पानी पूरी और भेल पूरी की बहुत deficiency है. Now when that pani puri, bhel puri craving comes, that is the time to tell the body, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the tongue. This is the best time to practice it. Attempts were being made on Prahlad's life. That is the time he's chanting Bhagwan's name or not. Does he say, oh God, my father is trying to kill me. Right now I don't have time to remember Bhagwan because life is at threat. When life is at threat, only Bhagwan we should remember. So meditate. I am not the body, I am not the body, I am not the body. With that feeling. Because we are seeing how many people are, look at the life, how temporary it is. It just goes like this. Before anything happens like that, best is to anchor in Bhagwan. So all these people who are saying, no, before third wave comes, let us travel. Like that, a spiritual seeker's response is, before third wave comes, let me realize, because pata nahi third wave mein chale gaye to. That is spiritual seeker's response. Sit home and realize and meditate. No, Swamiji, I am doing outdoor meditation. Then go, what can we do? Otherwise, sit home and meditate daily. If earlier you were doing 20 minutes, now you do half an hour, 40 minutes, double. So this is the way to respond. At the Vyashti level and at the social level, help people, support them, comfort them, physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. And definitely do not pass on rumors and create fears and spread the negativity. Especially this fake news and forwards, Bapre, how much trouble they cause. Socially, we should stop all those things. So now that is where I will stop for this question. Second question was how to apply they are in me, I am not in them. See, this they are in me, I am not in them has to be understood first. What does that mean? They are in me, I am not in them means it is a relationless relationship. The substratum always can say the superimposition is in me, but I am not in it. The rope can say snake is in me, but I am not in the snake. This cannot apply to cause and effect. It can apply to superimposition and the substratum. A pot cannot say, the mud cannot say that pot is in me, but I am not in the pot. Because the mud is in the pot. Ocean cannot say that waves are in me, but I am not in the wave. I am in the wave. Because that is ocean manifesting as the wave. Material cause is the same, water. Same way, mud is the material cause which is appearing as the pot. So what it can be applied to is a superimposition and substratum. So the substratum can always say they are in me, I am not in them. So first point to understand is this, who is saying this? When we say the thoughts are in me, I am not in them, who is that I? I is consciousness. Consciousness can say thought is in me, but I am not in the thought. Why? Because it's only an appearance, it's not real. Thought comes and goes. Consciousness is there even when thoughts are there. Consciousness is there before the thought also, and consciousness is there after the thought also. And in fact, the thought is not a modification of consciousness. It is just an appearance of consciousness. The rope has not become the snake. It has not produced a snake. It has not modified to become a snake. It is only appearing as the snake, which means that appearance is illusion. It is not real. Same way, when we say they are in me, I am not in them, in daily situations of life, if a thought of anger arises, we say anger is in me, I am not in it. What will happen with that? The moment that thought of anger rises, I disassociate with it, saying I am not angry. Anger is in me because I am consciousness. If I say I am angry, I have moved away from consciousness to the jiva who is angry. And I have made myself one with that anger. Then I say I am angry. So I have moved away from the subject, I have become one with the object. So then I get affected by anger completely. So when we say they are in me, I am not in them. Anger is in me, I am not in it. Meaning I am not fueling anymore because I am detached from it. I just observe it rises, it stays, it goes. It rises, stays and goes. I am different from it. As the substratum and superimposition are different. The substratum may support the superimposition, but that superimposition is illusory. It is not real. Same way, consciousness is real. Thought of love, thought of anger, thought of greed, thought of happiness, thought of pleasure, it will come and it will go. They are in me, I am not in them. The more I repeat this to myself, two things will happen. I will be able to strengthen my identification with my real self, which is consciousness, and I will look at the object just as an appearance, as an illusion. It just comes and goes. It is not real at all. And do you know what we teach in all this in Vedanta? It is used in psychology or science also, but just in a different term. And their understanding may not be as comprehensive as Vedanta at the moment. Yesterday only I was doing some research on meditation and all that. In that they say cognitive diffusion. What we are learning right now, that these thoughts come in me and they go, I am different from the thoughts, is in psychology and science called as cognitive diffusion. That you are not your thoughts. Thoughts come and go. You are different from the thoughts. Thoughts don't define you. Just the terminology is different. It is the same thing otherwise. Now, when we say cognitive diffusion, we feel, yes, I am attending a course of cognitive diffusion. Very good. That is what was taught in Atma Bodh also, in Tattva Bodh also, in Vedanta also. But then that becomes, oh, that is religious, spiritual, and Sanskrit, cognitive diffusion. CDT, cognitive diffusion therapy. Have you done CDT? That's okay. Some way, some method, do it and detach from the thought. That's all. Whether you come through Vedanta or through CDT doesn't matter. We are different. That's all it is. So this is what will happen. So when we face any situation, we can apply this to any temptation. They are in me, I am not in them. That Pani Puri deficiency is in me, I am not in it. So then that thought will not build more. And even psychology says or not, if you delay the gratification, the desire will drop. That moment, when we feel I have to drink coffee, I want coffee, I want coffee. If you delay that and you say after 1 hour I'll drink coffee, after 1 hour you may not even remember that I wanted coffee. But if we go on feeding that thought, then it becomes imperative, I must have coffee. So apply it to temptation, apply it to any emotions that arise, apply it to any desires also. If we don't want desires to, what do we call it? The further effect of desires, if it should not increase, then we have to stay with that desire and say, the desire is in me, I am not in it. Non-cooperation movement, that is what one has to do with the desire. Which we also do, but sometimes we don't apply it when it is necessary. We get carried away by the flow of that desire. So this can be applied to temptation, this can be applied to emotion, this can be applied to any desires that arise. This can be applied to any reaction that is there in my mind, where I impulsively want to say something to somebody. At that moment, I can control saying, this is in me, I am not in it. Hold on, wait, pause. So a lot of application this has. But what is important is this requires two things. One is, as I said, clarity and understanding of who I am. I am consciousness, I am not the thoughts. Second, it requires vairagya. Some dispassion is required. Without this dispassion, we cannot practice this. If it is seeming very intellectual to us, that means I'm lacking in dispassion. And what is the meaning of dispassion there? Craving for happiness from anything outside is called attachment or passion. When I don't depend on anything outside for my happiness, that is called dispassion. There is no craving that I should eat this, I should go there, I should become this, I should achieve that. One may do it out of a sense of, manifesting potential, serving people, etc. But not that I want to be happy through that and this is for my happiness. If that attachment is there, this will not happen. They are in me, I am not in them, will not happen. Last part of that question is, everything is Purnam. Now, if I see everything is Purnam, when can I see everything is Purnam? Everything is Purnam, which it includes this also. So I am also Purnam, world is also Purnam. From the supreme standpoint, everything is an appearance of consciousness alone. That is the vision of oneness. So if I see everything as Purnam, my vision will be all of us are appearances of one truth. playing different roles, that is all right. But we are one consciousness which is complete, which is Purnam. So at body, mind, intellect level, we are different from each other, but at consciousness level, we are one. So psychological attachments, aversions, which are based on gender, community, caste, creed, religion, economic status, color of the skin, all this will go. What we will see is only oneness. And when we see oneness, we operate out of love. Where there is oneness, love will happen automatically. There is the definition of love is identification with the beloved. So if we see, even at a simple level, if I say that all of us are human beings, then we will treat each other with that dignity that we all are human beings, so let us not hurt each other. But when we don't look at all of us as human beings, then we say, I am Mr. So-and-so, you are so-and-so, and I must exploit you to become happy. Then I'm not seeing oneness, I'm seeing differences. Gurudev always gave the example of the whole body. This whole body, each part is different from the other, but the vision is we are one. So each part helps the other. It doesn't exploit. Same way, when we see everything is Purnam, then that vision of oneness helps us to operate out of love, out of compassion, out of service. Like if there is any pain in my back, then the hands will go and try to help the back. Same way, there is sorrow, there is suffering in the world. One tries and goes and serves. That is one aspect, everything is Purnam. Second aspect of everything is Purnam means at some stage in life, we feel that, things are going from bad to worse. This world is not a good place to live, all this, because we have a certain identification. But at a higher level, we learn to accept, yes, this is what it is. This is required for evolution. And in the same world where we are living, where we see everything is a cause of misery, sarvam dukkham dukkham, sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, Buddha said. In that same world, the realized masters also live, and they see this whole world is sarvam brahmamayam. And they operate out of love. So what is the point? The world is what it is. We have to change our outlook and our mindset. It is up to us. When we see Purnata, we will see potential. We will not see the limitations. We will know that whatever is happening by a certain process, whether it is law of karma or by certain will of the Lord, it is fine as it is. So our resistance stops. Our acceptance increases. And of course, we have a choice then how to respond to it. So two things what we discussed. We learn to operate out of vision of oneness. We learn to operate out of compassion, kindness, love, service, etc. Two, we learn to accept that what is happening is meant to be in my capacity, how much I can serve positively, let me do. And third, everything is Purnam means there is infinite potential in every person, in every being. I also have potential, you also have potential. Everybody has tremendous power and potential. We should know how to tap that. That's a practical application of it. How to tap the potential. Rather than looking at people's limitation, this person is not good at this person has so many qualities which are negative, I don't think this person fits the job. We continuously find faults. There may be limitations each one has, but our focus when we are thinking about Purnamada, Purnamidam is on what is the potential of the person which I can manifest. This is at personality level. We start manifesting the potential of people. We start focusing on the positives. At spiritual level, I am Purnam, you are Purnam means we meditate on Purnata and we come out of the sense of incompleteness, apurnata. Otherwise, we constantly feel apurna. So no matter what we achieve in life, we keep feeling empty, we feel incomplete, we feel something is missing, because we are identifying with that which is apurna. If I meditate on purnata, then I will realize I am purnam, and so is the whole world. That's the only way to experience fulfillment in life, to meditate on purnatvam and to understand through that that I am purnam as the consciousness. This BMI is apurna by itself. So this is where I will stop. Any questions anybody wants to ask?
Excuse me, Swamiji. What did you mean by purnata? Do you mean completeness?
Yes, completeness. Where there is no limitation of time, space, objects, that is called purnatvam in its absolute meaning in Vedanta, which indicates infinite bliss or consciousness, Sat Chit Anand. And at a simpler level, purnata is that which is full, which is complete, where there is potential, where there is positivity. So to focus on that is purnata. This is the mantra from Ishavasya Upanishad, no? Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Yes, Sheilaji. You raised your hand, you can unmute.
Swamiji, a small question. How do you relate this pandemic? Hundreds of people are dying. Can you explain it with reference to Samashti Prarabdha?
There is nothing called Samashti Prarabdha when we connect to people's death. That is an example of, that's the result of Vyashti Prarabdha. Together, if we put it, then we call it Samashti Prarabdha. Otherwise, it is, people are going to go through their karma. No? Each one has, in a certain way, one is going to pass on. Whether it is through COVID or through accident or through normal health issue, or just like that, the body becomes old, one passes on. So each one's death is already destined when they have come here because of the prarabdha karma. The method of dying also is destined, and the time of death also is destined. If we put all this together and we say because of the pandemic so many have died, then we may want to call it as a samashti karma. Otherwise, depends on which is our standpoint. From Vyashti level, everything is a Vyashti karma as far as death is concerned, because it's their prabal prarabdha, it is their strong prarabdha. If we don't take Vyashti level, then everything is samashti. Then not only the pandemic, every single thing is samashti. The food that you and I are eating is samashti karma. The morsel of food that goes into our mouth, how many hundreds of people are behind that? So it is samashti karma. So then it doesn't limit itself only to the pandemic. No? Then every single karma is samashti. Everything. Even right now, this talk that is happening is samashti karma. You have it in your karma to listen. I have it in my karma to talk. And the Zoom is there as the medium for it. And together we are interacting. So this experience is a samashti karma. So then every single experience becomes samashti, not only the pandemic. So depends on what standpoint we want to take. Then we will understand from that standpoint. Either as a Vyashti karma, which is death is prarabdha karma of that person, prabal prarabdha karma, which they cannot change generally, or from samashti karma, then every single thing is samashti karma. And so in the pandemic, if some people have died, it is because of their individual karma. And we put all these things together, then we can call it as in the pandemic, this many millions of people died. And specifically, we are calling it as samashti karma. But the fact is, everything else is also samashti karma.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Swamiji, it would be something like Hitler's time when everybody died in the concentration camp. It was samashti, wasn't it?
See, that's why I'm saying samashti we cannot separate out. Every single thing is samashti karma. If that is our standpoint, it is samashti karma. Now, if you say that so many millions died in the concentration camp of Hitler, then there are some people who escaped it also. So what does that mean? That is not samashti karma. That is only vyashti karma, that they individually escaped and the others individually died. So that's why we have to be consistent with our standpoint. If we look at samashti karma, then samashti means totality. Then it is every single thing is samashti karma. No separate incident we can take out. Some incidents like this pandemic or that Hitler's thing appear to be samashti karma to us because many jivas are involved. Like people say that, when an accident happened, let us say an air crash happened. So some 200 people, let us say, passed away in that accident. Now it was the samashti karma of those 200 people to come together, and then in that accident they died. They must have done some karma in the past in such a way that together they have to face that result. And in that also, suppose there are some 210 people and 200 died, 10 escaped. Then that means that those 10 were not a part of this samashti karma of these 200 people. So they did not get this result. They got some other result. So it's very difficult to understand karma. In the Gita, that's why Bhagavan says, Gahana karmano gatihi. Because it depends on our standpoint, which standpoint we want to take. Individual or total, we have to be consistent on that standpoint. Because the objective of understanding that is, how best can I respond? That's the main objective. Whether it is individual karma or samashti karma, how best can I respond now? That is the main objective. When I learn to accept things as they come and I can respond appropriately, for that, whichever standpoint I take, vyashti or samashti. Ideal would be obviously to take samashti karma standpoint, because in that the individuality can be dissolved. Ego can be dissolved, because vyashti karma, when we say some point in time, individuality can get strengthened. So when somebody achieves great success, one may call it vyashti karma. This person came into the city with just 25 paise, and today he has created what an empire, and what a great person, successful, this, that. So one praises that person's abilities, etc. Now, if that person gets some award, that person will say, I dedicate this to my team and, all my family and everybody who helped me. Now that appears to be samashti karma. But the fact is, every single moment it was samashti karma only. There was no vyashti karma in that, independent of the samashti. So samashti itself means vyashti is included in that. But many people are not able to have this big picture, so they live in the individual standpoint only. So when we live as individual, then for us samashti karma is something separate. But if we have studied Vedanta properly, then we say every single karma is only samashti karma. Vyashti is not there at all. So that's the objective of understanding the samashti karma. It will help us to dissolve our ego.
Swamiji, I'm Swati Kelkar. I want to ask one question. Will this Mrityunjay jap is really affect on this pandemic situation?
It definitely affects, whether in the pandemic or without the pandemic. Mantras have great power. Vedic mantras have much more power. And when they are chanted in the right intonations, they create the necessary vibrations. Plus, when we know the meaning and chant, they create necessary inner strength for the mind and the intellect, as well as for the person for whom you are dedicating. And when done with devotion and surrender, grace of Bhagavan also gets invoked. But also we should remember one point, Mrityunjay mantra is not a mantra which will prevent death. Somebody's speaker is on, I'm hearing my own voice. It will not prevent death. It can only strengthen us in our mind and intellect, as well as it can help the person for whom we have dedicated that. But it will not stop the death. So we should not judge the efficacy of the mantra by saying that I chanted for this person and still that person died. See, death is the prabal prarabdha karma of that person. It will happen. Mrityunjay mantra can avoid untimely death. But again, from karmic standpoint, we don't believe there is untimely death. There is, the death will come at the proper time when it has to come, when karma ends. So Mrityunjay mantra is a great strength to face life as well as to overcome fear of death. When he says there in the mantra, Mrityoho Mukshiya, it is actually Mrityo is not freedom from death by itself. It is freedom from fear of death. Because at some point everyone will die. So the mantra is not going to prevent death. But it will give great strength. It will help the person if the person has to recover, etc. It will give great strength to that person. And even if that person dies, the power of that mantra will infect the jiva positively only. So the jiva yatra ahead will anyway become more positive and more stronger for that mind of the jiva. So it has great power.
Thank you, Swamiji.
So Swamiji, as a spiritual speaker, is it correct to ask a COVID affected person, how did you get COVID, and get into the detail of it, or just leave it at that? I mean, sometimes we get into this conversation, with the patients.
See, how did you get COVID? What is the motive behind it is important to understand. If a doctor is asking, how did you get COVID? It may be for treatment. If we are asking, how did you get COVID out of concern, that is another thing. And some people ask COVID because they also want to know so that they can be alert, because, otherwise, they may also be in alert and they may get it in the same way. So it helps them. So one is the motive is different. Each one can ask. So asking is not a problem. But if we know that this person has recovered from COVID, and many people keep on asking the same thing, and it is irritating to go on repeating the same thing, then we need not ask. As long as that person doesn't misunderstand. Otherwise, sometimes the person misunderstands, saying, "Arey, ye bhi nahi pucha ki mujhe kaise mila, kaise aaya." So it depends on the person, it depends on you, what is the intention. And then if the idea is to just make them aware that I'm concerned for you, and one may ask, or one may express that concern in different ways. That, I know you recovered from COVID, I was concerned for you, or I'm praying for you, or whatever, So that is a better way. Otherwise, same thing goes on in the mind of that person.
Exactly.
Swamiji, everything is Purnam. I didn't get it very
My suggestion is you go through my talk on the YouTube channel, Chinmay Shivam. There are 3 talks on Purnamada Purnamidam.
Okay.
And this recording also I will be putting up.
Okay.
So then if you listen to this, you will, I think, get it. I have explained what everything is Purnam from the basic understanding that you all have studied Vedanta. So if foundation has to be laid, then better to go through from the beginning. So 3 talks are there on it. You can listen to them.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji.
Shall we proceed ahead, Swamiji?
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you, Swamiji. All the study group members are very grateful to you for always being there to guide us, to motivate us, to inspire us to pursue our study of Vedanta. Apart from this, may I request everyone to offer their Guru Dakshina at the link which has already been given, and all the funds collected shall be used by Chinmaya Pradeep. The link will also be shared on the screen.